Is business networking worth it? Well, stick around and I'll let you know. Hey, I'm Donnie, Boivin, CEO and founder of Success Champion Networking. And man, I'm just on a personal mission to help as many businesses as I possibly can find freedom through building a business. And the main reason is, man, building a business is the toughest thing I've ever done in my life. And I just made myself an island while I was building along the way because I didn't want anybody to know how bad it was. So I share my stories, journeys, and a lot of things that's happened to me along the way to help as many people learn from my screw-ups and mistakes, and hopefully they get to build the business that they truly want. When I found out about networking, especially in the B2B, in this kind of commercial space, my sales was really bad. I was selling commercial printing for a, pretty large commercial printing company, and I was striking out a lot, especially going after some of the bigger clienteles and the bigger deals, because I just didn't know how to have those type of conversations. One day, as I was flipping through a particular large Fortune 500 clients that I wanted to go after, I noticed that the Mary Kay corporate office was about 45 minutes from my office. And I saw that another rep in the company was on this account, but had not brought anything in 4 or 5 years. So I went up to the vice president of the company and I said, hey, what's the chances I can go after Mary Kay? She goes, well, you got to go talk to the rep. Their name's on the account. It's their account. So I go talk to the rep, and this never happens when you have a sales team. And I said, hey, can I have a shot at Mary Kay? I see nothing's happened on it 4 or 5 years. And the rep laughed at me and said, sure, give it a go, kid. He was an older guy, sweet dude, but just didn't think that I was able to pull this off. So I remember driving out to the Mary Kay offices. I found their the warehouse site. And I knew they'd probably have an extensive security up front, so I wasn't going to go that route. I actually went around the backside of the building and the backside of the warehouse, and I found one of the roll-up doors wide open. So I walked in, and as I walked around, I just happened to find myself at a small printing center. And in this little printing center, there was a couple of offices and just some small printers running. And out of the corner, I saw a gentleman walk up, approach me and say, hey, can I help? And I introduced myself and what I did. And he kind of chuckled and said, well, you did the whole backdoor thing. Good on you. He goes, you'll never get this work because we've had vendors we've been working with for years. He goes, but I'm happy to hear you're out. So we sat down for a while. We laughed. We joked. We had a really, really good time. I was not trying to sell him anything. I knew this was going to be a longer play. But before I left, I asked him, I said, would you be able to introduce me to anybody else in your company, maybe another department? He goes, sure, let me get you over to a gal in marketing. So he introduces me to a gal in marketing. And then from there, I get to meet her. I go up to their corporate office, which is a gorgeous building with waterfalls and all kinds of stuff in it. And I get to meet her, and we hit it off. Once again, I'm not trying to sell anything. I just asked at the end of that call, could she introduce me to somebody else in the company? So she actually introduced me to another person in marketing. And keep the story rolling, that person, then I got them to introduce me to somebody in operations. And then another person got to introduce me to a person in legal. Another person introduced me to a person in accounting. And I just kept meeting all the different people inside the building because all I was doing was networking internally. And long story short, through all those relationships, I was actually able to land my first $50,000 PO about 6 months in to forming relationships with everybody in the building because people all started to know who I was. And I tell this story because it's the perfect way to say this is how you should network everywhere. So I don't care what you sell. The idea is you need to go out and find people that are into what you do or need what you do. Don't try and sell a damn thing. Get to know them and see if you can get introduced to somebody else in the building because you build a relationship. And I tell you, I have followed this game plan so many times and have gone so deep and wide, not only into companies, but to associations, conferences, trade shows, and the likes, and it's almost always work because you're not coming across in those initial conversations like you need to sell anything. This is about forming these really cool long-term relationships. And just so you know, Mary Kay became like a $2 million account for me in the long run while selling commercial printing. And it all stemmed from, one, I was crazy enough to walk through a back door of a big warehouse. But two, I had the courage to simply ask, do you mind making an introduction to one other person in your company? I wasn't even specific in that. Now, I would tell you, you're usually better off if you can get more specific with the ask and who you need to be introduced to. And look, this isn't about selling anything. The sales will come after you get the introductions and you start building these relationships, especially in the commercial B2B game, because it is typically a longer sales cycle, a longer process. So what I've found is if you will just take your time, get to know people, ask for that next introduction, you're going to be blown away by how far that will go. Every conversation, ask for an introduction. Figure out what they need. Open doors for them. And I'm telling you, business networking will be one of the greatest assets in your business. I hope you got something out of this, guys. If you got any tips, tricks, any value, anything that would benefit you, please comment below your takeaways, your thoughts, anything that maybe I can clarify or make better. And make sure you're subscribed. That really helps me get the message and the word out there. And share this out with one person. This is how we make everything go and reach as many people as possible. And as always, love you, mean it. See you, bye.